Well, this is the end of a long and arduous trip from Eugene, Oregon to Sacramento. And this is it. I'm coming down to pitch my son on why he should be involved with me in an episode for a TV series. He hasn't been in front of a camera for years, but I think he may go for it, and I'm hoping that he'll listen to reason, but who knows what he's going to do. Here we are. Hey, surprise, surprise. This is it.
Hey, Roxy. Roxy.
No hug, nothing?
How's it going?
Jeez, man. I know you're busy and you got to go back to work, but man, I got a lot to tell you about, and I'm hoping you can stop for 5 minutes and give me some time.
Come on.
All right.
Yeah, tell me what this big idea is.
Well, I don't know where to start, but it's about a TV series. A guy pitched me on an idea. It's actually a reality kind of documentary.
Like Gold Rush? That's brand new.
See, yeah, something like that, but a little more depth to it, you know. And go back in time historically, you know my background, but it's got to come off like a reality type of thing, like we're experiencing the discovery of things. And they said, you know, you ought to have another guy in this, somebody else that can help you carry this. And I thought of you right away because we've done so many things, you know, over the years. We tried to do this, I think you remember, 10 years ago. And the director kind of messed up, but I think it was
it was us. It was us.
It was us. It probably jaded you towards me because of that. But anyway, now it's a new day, and we've come up with some ideas, and we have the material now, and I think you'd really be good in this.
What's the premise or purpose of the show? What are we trying to, like? I know Gold Rush, which is one of my favorite shows, is they're trying to, you know, it's their whole journey in the Yukon or the Klondike in getting gold. And so at the end of every show, the payoff is seeing how they clean up. What's your payoff?
Well, I think that the payoff is kind of captured in the title. It's called Keys, Codes, and Time Travel. The idea is to unlock things that have been, covered over and hidden, and come to grips with some things in the past that we've never seen before. History can be twisted, just like anything can be twisted, and so we want to exhume artifacts and things from the past, writings, eyewitness accounts of things that have never really been seen before.
You want it to be a scripted show or it's a reality show?
It's a reality show, but it's based upon the historical fact.
So what's the show gonna be like?
Well, the show I wanted to do is about King David's tomb. So it would have to be shot in Israel, of course.
That's where it's at.
Well, I know you're kind of prissy these days because it's a real posh job.
Yeah.
So I figured you might have a problem, going to Israel because, it's dangerous.
I've never been there. Why does it have to be shot there?
Well, I mean, you've got to be there to catch the spirit of it. And there is problems. They had 40 rockets shot into Israel from the Palestinians just a few days ago.
This is your pilot type show, and you want it to be about King David's tomb. Do you have an idea where this thing's at?
Well, yeah, of course I do, but the world doesn't believe where I think it's at. That's the beauty of this thing. It's kind of like a Nicolas Cage, movie, American Treasure. You remember that?
Yeah, but that guy knew a lot about a lot. You don't know anything.
See, the disrespect is unbelievable.
I don't know. I'm trying to conceptualize the show. Like, it's just me and you in a room, and we're talking about, hey, we know where King David's tomb is, right here under this coffee shop.
Not really. It would be in the field. We'd be camping overnight, doing nighttime shots. We'd be going on location where it is. We'd actually be using laser measurements to, chart the exact location where we believe it to be. And it's if we found it, which is
keep talking.
If we found it, it would be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, archaeological discovery in history because of what's in there. King David stored 100,000 talents of gold. A talent is 20 pounds. So that's probably...
You think the gold's still there?
I do think it's there. And he stored 1,000,000 talents of silver. That would be 20,000 pounds.
Let me just tell you something.
Of-
There's no way that the gold. That's funny. That's why you need me on the show. Because you actually believe that sort of thing. There's no way that there's gold still there under somebody's.
You don't know that. I mean, that's a ridiculous thing to say. You have no idea what you're talking about.
No. Just so happens you, Ken Kline, knows the location of King David's tomb. There's people all over the place. Archaeologists, theologians, and antiquities, all these different things. They don't know where it's at.
It's possible they know and aren't telling anybody. And I've thought about that too. I thought, well, certain satellite imagery, all kinds of sound equipment that can sound into it. Certainly the Jews would have figured this out by now. And I think they may have, but they're not telling it.
Yeah.
And so I think at least with...
Well, there's the real story. What happened to all the gold? It's not there.
If it's not there, yeah.
Because then it proves that somebody already found it.
Well,
and then why did they cover it up?
Well, King David knew that his people were going to slip into darkness, and he stored up enough gold for at least 3 to 4 temples. So why did he do that? And what would they use to build the next temple with? Because we know there's going to be...
I mean, let's talk about it. I don't know if I can get work off, and it's an interesting idea. I'd like to hear some of the ideas for some of the other shows.
All right.
I like the Jerusalem one and how the bigger conspiracy maybe around that. That was.
Is that your phone? You better get it. We'll talk more later.
That's Leah's phone.
Okay. Well, it's annoying.
You're screwing in the shot. Cut. It's reality. They just keep rolling.
All right. I'll tell you more about it, but I appreciate you. At least consider it.
All right.
This is great. This is a store that we're going to look into some of the religious aspects of their Egyptian culture because we've studied the geometry, we've studied physics, we've looked at astronomy, astrology. We've looked at so many different aspects of ancient Egyptian life. But perhaps the place to look for Enoch is in some of their mythological gods. Perhaps we can find him there. When looking backwards 5,000 years into the pre-Pharaonic era, it is a common mistake to view the ancients as pagans and their religious orientation polytheistic with many gods, especially when you examine their many and extensive mythologies. Certainly, over long periods of time, their religion did degenerate into polytheism. But originally, the Egyptian religion was monotheistic. Then, as time went by, spiritual darkness ensued, and the figures that surfaced in the wall paintings and papyrus that were merely representations of the attributes of God, whom they call Ra, unfortunately, came to be individually worshipped, and the Egyptian religion sunk into polytheism. But when you visit any of the countless papyrus stores anywhere in Cairo, there is one scene that is always prevalent, and it dramatically stands out from all the others. It is known as the Final Judgment, and the central character in the scene is the strange-looking god called Thoth. But why a final judgment? This is a monotheistic concept. Where did this doctrine come from? Certainly not paganism. A final judgment is associated with the accountability for how one lives out his mortal life. And in this final judgment rendering, captured on papyrus, it seems that the god Thoth, the central figure in the story, is the one capable of accurately recording the facts and presiding over the judgment. But in Egyptian lore, Thoth was not limited to this purpose alone. There are many more epitaphs concerning this god Thoth. Thoth was also known as a mediating power. He also served as a scribe of the gods, and he was credited with the invention of writing in alphabets. The ancient Egyptians regarded Thoth as the master of both physical and moral law, making proper use of Mot, which was truth. He is credited with making the calculations for the establishment of the heavens, stars, earth, and everything in them. Mot was the force which maintained the universe. He is said to direct the motions of the heavenly bodies. The Egyptians believed that without his words, the gods would not exist. His power was almost unlimited in the underworld and rivaled that of Ra and Osiris. The Egyptians also credited him as the author of all works of science, religion, philosophy, chemistry, and even magic. He was known as the one that was the god of weights and measurements. This Thoth was some kind of god, and the Greeks embraced him for their own and called him Hermes.
Well, we found a few representations of Thoth in the store that we were just in. Actually, his ancient name was Dahuti, and to the Greeks he was known as Hermes. And there's a place about 300 kilometers south of here called Hermopolis, and evidently that's where he lived. So evidently this mythological god or some person actually lived that ended up becoming bigger than life kind of a guy, kind of the movie star of his day. And his name was Thoth, Dahuti, and we're going to go up the Nile River some 180 miles to Hermopolis and see what we can find up there concerning this god Thoth.
When she told us that they won the IQ test, I was pissed. I was thinking, is this rigged?
I knew we were going to beat him in the IQ test, so I talked with a couple of them. And
It may cause us a little conflict because we know Tony's pretty smitten with Larissa, but you know, I think it was the right move.